Okay, so let's talk about a brand new video game. It's packed with features, it's fast, it's addictive, sounds pretty standard, right? Well, here's the kicker. It was made for the Commodore 64. You know, that computer that's more than 40 years old. Yeah, this is going to be fun.
So that really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, we live in an age of photorealistic graphics, of these ginormous open worlds. So what does innovation even look like on a machine from the early 80s? Well, the answer is a game called Oblast, and let me tell you, it is an absolute masterclass in how you make a modern game on classic hardware. All right, so to really get what makes Oblast so incredible, we've got to rewind the clock a bit. We need to look at the game that started it all, the original arcade blueprint.
Let's talk about Blasto. This was an arcade game from way back in 1978, and you have to understand, the constraints these developers were working with were just mind-blowing. The entire game, I'm talking maze generation, player controls, projectiles, explosions, the whole shebang, was crammed into just 2 kilobytes of memory. 2. Do you know how small that is? That is literally smaller than a simple text email today. It's just an unbelievable feat of programming.
So Blasto eventually made its way from the arcade to home computers, specifically the Texas Instruments TI-99-4A. Now, this new version had some upgrades, color, some music, and you could even tweak the difficulty. But here's the thing. Because it was a faithful port, it brought all of the original's limitations right along with it. It was still very much a product of that 1970s arcade hardware.
And what were those limitations? Well, for starters, there was only one level, just one screen. And you could only have a single shot on the screen at a time. Oh, and if there was an explosion happening, forget about it, you couldn't fire your weapon. The obstacles were just solid walls. You just stopped dead. And the best part? If you actually won the game, you got the exact same game over screen as when you lost. Look, it was fun for sure, but definitely a product of its time.
So, that's the starting point. The question is, how do you take that classic but limited foundation and build something totally new and exciting? On hardware that's 4 decades old. Let's dive in and see how they reimagined it.
Okay, so remember how Blasto had just that one singular screen? Well, a Blasto has, get ready for this, 384 procedurally generated levels. No, that is not a typo. I'll say it again. 384 unique screens, all created on the fly by the game itself. We're talking about a leap in scope that is just staggering.
Just look at this comparison. It really puts the evolution into perspective. Blasto's one level, blown up to 384 in Oblast. That one projectile you could fire, now you can have up to 4, and there's even a cool reload mechanic. Remember hitting those impassable walls? Now you just slow down, which feels way more realistic. And that annoying pause when things exploded? Totally gone. The action is non-stop. Basically, Oblast looks at every single limitation of the original and says, yeah, we can do better, turning them all into awesome modern gameplay features.
Right about now, you're probably asking the same thing I was. How is any of this even possible on a Commodore 64? The answer is just some absolutely incredible programming ingenuity. So, let's pop the hood and see how the magic happens.
And I love this quote from the developer because it tells you everything you need to know about their philosophy. He said, "The code that handles the explosions was the first part of the game I wrote. The game wouldn't be worth completing if I couldn't get it fast or frantic enough." So think about that. The absolute core of the game, the thing that had to be perfect, was the chain reactions. The goal was pure, fast, frantic action. And if they couldn't nail that, the whole project was a no-go.
And here's where things get really, really clever. So, instead of trying to track all the explosions in the computer's tiny memory, the game just looks at the screen. That's right, it scans the screen itself. Every single frame, it looks for an explosion character. Then, it uses a special hidden color property to mark which bombs are going to blow up on the next frame. It's a genius trick. It means the game never accidentally tries to detonate the same bomb twice in one cycle, which is how it keeps a super smooth, consistent speed even when the whole screen is just chaos. What an elegant solution for perfectly fluid gameplay.
Now, to pull off that clever color marking trick, the game has to use a special graphics mode. It's called Extended Background Color Mode, or ECM for short. And it's a trade-off, really. It gives the developer more background colors to play with, which is essential for that explosion system. But the catch is, it drastically cuts down on the number of unique character shapes you can have on screen. A necessary sacrifice for sure. But if you ask me, the real secret sauce to this game's amazing fluid feel is this one incredible hack. So the developer literally overwrote the computer's internal clock, its timer. He pushed it to run 4 times faster than normal. It went from the standard 60 Hz all the way up to 240 Hz. What does that mean for you, the player? It means everything on screen is being updated so incredibly fast that the motion is just buttery smooth. That's something you almost never saw in games from that era.
So, this all brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why pour years of your life into making a game for a 40-year-old computer? Well, it all comes down to the art of limitation.
See, when you don't have a super powerful processor to lean on, you're forced to get creative. These constraints actually spark ingenuity. Take that timer hack we just talked about. A side effect was that it made collision detection a little unreliable. But instead of seeing it as a bug, the developer turned it into a feature. Now, instead of just smacking into a wall, your tank realistically slows down when it goes over obstacles. The limitation itself directly inspired a better, more interesting gameplay mechanic. That's creativity right there.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does all this matter? Well, for one, projects like Oblast are proof that retro coding communities are not just alive, they are thriving and pushing boundaries. They're taking these classic gaming concepts and evolving them for a new audience. It's really a testament to what pure creative passion can accomplish. But I think, most of all, it proves that truly great game design is timeless. It has absolutely nothing to do with having the latest and greatest technology.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. You know, with so many incredible, innovative ideas in gaming's past, it makes you wonder, what forgotten classic out there is just waiting for its own Oblast moment? What's a game you think deserves to be reimagined like this? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.